So welcome again. I'll be sharing some updates on the ACS program this morning and covering optimizing ACS operations, ensuring quality content, protecting respondent confidentiality, and engaging with our data users. So optimizing ACS operations. We've been working to optimize the ACS operations this year. We've been focusing on reducing rising field data collection costs, and we are concentrating on short-term implementation projects using administrative data and third-party data sources to inform our field data collection efforts. This year, we're using admin records to maximize the data collection efforts of the field staff by informing contact strategies and other operational efficiencies, such as when to decrease or stop our field interviewing efforts. We're optimizing the data. The CAPI workload projects include prioritizing contacts by geographic areas, which is a first step in reducing contacts. We identified counties where we can decrease the length of the interview period in a way that attempts to minimize the impact on data quality. We've also implemented a project where we're predicting the vacancy status of units to determine modifications to field contact strategies. We're using the same modeling approach that was used to identify vacant units in the 2020 census. Adapting contact efforts is a project that with an upcoming implementation that includes a case level approach to adapt contact strategies during the field data collection period. We're continuing to use AdRecs to reduce respondent burden and to improve the quality of the ACS data. Elizabeth Poehler will be going into more detail for these current optimization projects and other admin projects that we're pursuing for the ACS program in a plenary session later today. In 2024, we're adding an internet data collection self-response option to the group quarters data collection operation for select non-institutional GQs. So group quarter types like college dorms, military barracks, military ships, residential treatment centers for adults, those types of things. Okay, so every question on the ACS must have a federal purpose. So adding a question or making a change to the ACS involves extensive testing, review, and evaluation over about a 5-year period, what we call a content test. We conduct these content tests in order to improve the quality of existing questions or test the addition of new questions. We are currently in the middle of a content test, and the cognitive testing began in 2020, and the field test was this past fall in September through December 2022. And we're currently evaluating the results from that field test and drafting recommendation reports. The results from this test will be implemented in the 2025 ACS data collection cycle, which means that data users will see any new and modified content in the 2025 data products, which are released the following year in 2026. The content test included 11 topics. We had 6 person level topics and 5 housing level topics. Each of these underwent cognitive testing. Our ICSP subcommittee on the ACS recommended that 3 topics did not require field testing, as the cognitive testing showed that people understood the questions, so we did not include them in the field test. These are being recommended for implementation in 2024. And they are our condo fees question. It would be extended to include homeowners association fees in order to provide more comprehensive costs of owning a home. Home heating fuel question, we would update the natural gas and bottled gas categories, which will help the respondents identify the correct category more easily by using more common terminology. And our journey to work question would be modified to include ride sharing services as a mode of transportation to work in order to account for the new and growing travel trends. Okay. So in December 2022, the Census Bureau received a request from the Department of Justice to collect data on sexual orientation and gender identity. This request met the strict legal requirements that exist to add questions to or topics to the ACS. The ACS also received an FY23 appropriation of $10 million to research adding the Soji questions to the survey. So a lot of research has already been conducted on how to ask Soji questions on surveys. The program will build on research done by other federal agencies, other countries, and the national academies. One area that needs further research is the quality of data on Soji collected from proxy respondents. So when people are living in a sampled address that receive the ACS, many times it's often that one person in the household will answer the survey for everyone in the household. So this includes answering questions like occupation, disability, work status, work address, things like that for other people in the household. And because other federal surveys that ask Soji usually only ask questions about the person responding, there's not enough research about Soji data when someone answers for someone else in the household. So there's going to be two components to the Soji test. We're going to have a cognitive testing and a self-response test of questions in the field. So am I on the same screen? Okay. When a lot of testing has been conducted on, while a lot of questions have been conducted on English, we do not have as much work on questions conducted in Spanish. So for cognitive testing, we're going to focus on testing the Soji questions in Spanish, including having a test in Puerto Rico. Cognitive testing will begin later this fiscal year. And our field test will focus on assessing household proxy within the household, reporting along with exploring question placement and question wording. We will include self-response modes, which are the internet and mail as part of the test. And we also hope to include CAPI as well. And we plan to field the test in the spring of 2024. All right, so the Census Bureau takes its oath to protect respondent data very seriously. The December 22 blog shared the current status of disclosure avoidance modernization for the ACS program. And so some highlights are listed on the slide behind me. So strengthening the confidentiality practice protections is a continuous process. The science for a formally private solution for the ACS does not yet exist. We're carefully researching options and engaging with the data user community. And it's a multi-year effort that will extend well beyond 2025. Research, and we're also researching the feasibility of creating a high quality, fully synthetic PUMS file with an accompanying validation service. But I do want to remind everybody that as and if we find, we identify vulnerabilities in the ACS data products, that we will strengthen the disclosure avoidance methods. Okay. So communications. So we continually communicate with the data users in many ways that you can see listed on the slide. I encourage you to sign up for our email alerts and stay up to date on ACS events and updates. If you're not already a member, I encourage you to join our ACS data users group. We have over 4,500 members and we continue to grow each month. The data users group website contains ACS resources. It has links to webinars and past conference presentations, a discussion forum, and it's a great way to engage with other data users of the ACS data to get help using the data if you need it. You can join the users group and sign up for email updates by going to our website, census.gov/ACS. Membership is free and it's open to all interested data users. Census staff are also members, and a lot of times this is where you can find program updates. For those of you who are not here today, for those of you who are here today, if you haven't already picked up your data wheel, they're in the lobby, and we have stickers as well. I forgot to bring them up here to show, but go out and visit and take a data wheel. They're my favorite. So my staff in the communications area provide data user support. They give public webinars and they travel the country all year long, giving presentations and connecting with data users. So if you'd like to stay up to date on what is going on with the ACS program, I encourage you to sign up for our monthly email alerts as well. Okay. So our outreach and education branch works on developing and looking for ways to improve the data user's experience and with the ACS program, and to promote existing resources to a broader audience. They are currently working on a few of the outcomes that came out of our 2022 ACS Data User Survey that we did last year in collaboration with PRB. We are developing an ACS GitHub page to share repositories of code for working with the ACS data developed by the data user community. We're also exploring new events to reach new audiences and new data users. And we've facilitated a feedback session between the data users and the data.census.gov staff in order to enhance the data users' experience. So the next thing here is the 118th Congressional District and the 2022 State Legislative District data release. We did this earlier this year. These were special releases of ACS data profiles that we released for the new congressional and the new state legislative boundaries. We made the data available in a web-based tool on the ACS website so that the data users could see the data in these new boundaries prior to the 2022 data release later this fall. We conducted a webinar with the help of PRB and the Council of State Governments and the National Conference of State Legislatures when we released the state legislative district profiles. I was very excited about that one. We got that to Congress as soon as they sat this year. So let's see. And then we have some new data user resources. We've got a new ACS course called Discovering the ACS, which is a comprehensive overview of the ACS. Module 1 is an introduction, and then we're going to be adding, that one was released in March, but we're going to be adding some new components to that will cover geography, data products, and more. We produced a few videos from the YMCA, the Center County, Pennsylvania, and the National Grid, which is an electric utility, to share how these organizations are using the ACS data. And we also established a new webinar series called Stats in Action to help data users discover and learn how to use the ACS data. So I am very excited to announce the release of the selected population tables and the American Indian and Alaska Native tables, which are due to be released on June 15th this year. These are released every 5 years, and they provide the greatest level of statistical detail for selected population groups. The selected population tables will be available for selected race, Hispanic origin, tribal, and ancestry populations. And the American Indian and Alaska Native tables will be available for selected tribal populations. And as you can see on the screen, it's based on the 2017 to 2021 ACS 5-year data, and it will provide estimates for 1,353 selected race, tribal, Hispanic origin, and ancestry group, and that includes 1,058 individual tribal groups. Okay, and for my last slide, I'd like to share that we published our planned release dates for the 2022 ACS data products on our website last week. So to go through those, the 1-year data products are planned to be released on September 14th. The 1-year PUMs and supplemental estimates are planned to be released on October 19th. Our 5-year data products are planned to be released on December 7th. And our 5-year PUMs and variance replicate estimates are planned to be released on January 25th, 2024.